So I just got off work not too long ago. Then getting situated, decided to hop on the internet, see what was going on in the world, and I came across some foolishness. In my previous videos, I talk about masculinity, I talk about responsibility, accountability, things you need to do as a man. So I came across this article, and it's going viral, about a pastor in Kansas City, Missouri, who called his congregation, and I'll quote, poor, broke, busted, and disgusted. The reason why he called them that is because they wouldn't buy him a Movado watch. He's supposed to be a man of morals and values. He's supposed to be a man of God, a man that's supposed to be Christ-like. Okay? He goes on a 5-minute rant on his congregation not affording him a luxury that he feels he needs or deserves. He then belittles them and says, I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I'm not worth your clothing money. He then took it a step further and said, I asked you all for a Movado watch last year. It's August of 2022, and I still don't have it. So he then says, I don't want to hear anything about y'all not having the money, because if you valued me, you would buy it for me. Then he goes on to proceed to say that he's their leader, so they should purchase his stuff for him. And I'm summarizing, but stay with me. If any of you all have ever been in sort of leadership position, any sort of position of power or authority, whether that's as a husband, as a father, as a supervisor, dude's totally wrong. Anytime you lead in somebody, you don't put yourself in a position where you receive all the benefits strictly based on your title, and those under you are constantly giving you things that you want. That's not how that works. See, in the military, you put yourself in a position to where you make those underneath you better. You give them all the credit. You make them better. You make their lives better, whether that's in their career field, whether that's in their personal lives, whether that's in them growing as a person, right? So then by them being better, you get rewarded by that. You don't take from them. You don't put them in a position where they are less than or have less of prior to being in your presence or interacting with you. Don't know if any of you ever saw Band of Brothers, but powerful scene in that movie. The lead major in that film is talking to one of the new lieutenants that just came to the unit. And this lieutenant's gambling with the enlisted soldiers. So the major pulls him to his side and says, don't ever gamble with them. And the lieutenant says, oh, I'm just trying to break in, and build up a relationship with them, right? Break the ice. So the major says, what if you would have won? So then the lieutenant just looks at him in disbelief and says, oh, well, I just would have gave it back to him, right? So the major says, never put yourself in a position to where you can take away from your soldiers. Now, this pastor that's in this church, right, is married. So to call your flock, to call your congregation poor because they won't buy you a Movado watch, which, by the way, he said that they could have bought at Costco. Well, if it's so convenient to buy, correction, he said Sam's Club. If it's so convenient to buy at Sam's Club or Costco, why don't you buy it if it doesn't cost that much? You're a married man. You're a husband. You can't afford a Movado watch where you got to go beg your congregation to buy it for you because you want it. I'm sure the congregation and his wife are looking at him like he's crazy. As a man, you have to put yourself in a position to where you are leading by example. You're there to make others better, set them up for success, not take away from them financially, emotionally, physically, whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to get my rant off on this real quick. This pastor was in the wrong. He came out with a half-ass apology shortly after the video went viral. My second question is, for all the men out there, when you apologize to somebody, do you read from a script that was more than likely prepared for you, that you probably paid somebody to do, that are not your own words, just to save face, right? Or just to be politically correct? Or when you apologize to somebody, you look them in the eye, right? With sincerity, with humbleness. I can't speak for any of his congregation, but you're supposed to go there to seek some sort of spiritual guidance, some sort of leadership. I would pose a question to them. Do you have to buy your way into God's good grace? Do you have to buy leadership? Do you have to buy spirituality? Or are you there to obtain guidance from the good book, from a leader, from a man? Accountability is something every man has, but it's only judged by what they do when they look in the mirror. That's all I got. I'll see y'all in the next one. This is DRE.